Good morning. Good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to the show. It is Michelle Bryant here at WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. You are listening to Say Something Real. Let me say good morning to the brothers in the studio. Eeny, meeny, eeny, meeny. Safest place to go.
No, man.
It don't feel safe this morning. Eeny, meeny.
No safe, man.
All right. You know what? Let's start with the bad first. Hey, Jay, how you doing this morning?
Wow.
How you doing this morning, bruh?
Hey, man, I feel like,
You
know,
good?
like one of the intros of one of them old songs back in the day. They'd be like, well, back in the day,
They don't have to do it.
they don't, but they do.
You shouldn't either. You shouldn't either.
Yeah, well, Shell, I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain at all. It's Wednesday. It is the 7th day of the new year, and I'm feeling real jubilant.
Okay.
Vibrant.
I love
What was the
it. I
word you
love
just
it.
used?
Jubilant. Yeah, real jubilant.
A little early for jubilant, isn't it?
Yeah, no, because I stay,
How you gonna decide?
Yeah,
when it's
when
too
I'm supposed to
early
be happy.
for-
How you gonna
See-
decide my happiness?
See, black people.
Yeah, you
Black people.
trying to control everything.
How you gonna decide when somebody else should be jubilant?
Yeah.
It's a little
Oh,
early.
heathen, you
It's a little
a
early.
little early to be happy.
Yeah.
Oh, heathen.
7:05 and you jubilant.
But Shell,
You can't,
before
you can't be happy at 7:05
No, not that. Not jubilant.
in your house.
You're right.
Because in my house at 6 o'clock, I'm good.
listen here,
It's a party. Me and Luther getting down.
I'm happy all the day long because
Oh, here we
Not all the day.
all the day long.
Yeah, I knew the church song was coming.
'Cause-
I knew the
'cause-
church song was
I ain't
coming.
got nobody bothering me, and I got time to
I ain't
think
got
of
nobody bothering me.
questions. And I thought I was going to ask you a
Code 4.
question. So
I'm by
and
myself.
this is,
I ain't got nobody bothering me.
I be
It's
wondering.
code 4.
I be wondering.
What do the lowly do?
So my question to you is,
Dude, you want these questions, man.
yeah, because somebody asked the question. Kurt Franklin wrote the song.
Go ahead.
So my question to you is, if a person is homeless
Mhm.
and get sentenced to house arrest, do that mean that they technically free? These are just questions I just asked. Can somebody answer the question
When was you asking that question?
right now?
When did the question come up before right now?
A couple days ago.
Well, who was you talking to?
Myself. Myself said, you know
Okay.
what?
Okay.
That's a good question.
Another example of why you by yourself. Another reason why.
But I just figured
It just ain't gonna get no better for you, bro.
I just didn't know.
No,
so if you
no.
homeless and
Yeah, okay.
get sentenced to house arrest,
You could be sentenced to the tent, Jermaine.
but
You can be outside.
technically are you free?
No, because you still can report to the
But you
PO
have
and
no home.
everything.
So you can't have house arrest with the home.
Yeah, because some people consider the outdoors their home.
Then you're
Jermaine.
free.
You're not free. Because you can't leave out of
You
the
can't
Dean
leave
park.
You
You're outside,
can't leave
but
them
you
out
can
of
find to the Dean park. I'm just saying.
So stupid.
No. You stupid. You stupid.
Oh,
Like I
that was
said,
funny.
it was
That was
not.
funny.
It was
You said
bad.
you can't leave them out of the Dean park.
I'm just saying. Good morning, Timo. It could be so much
I
more
don't even know.
productive.
I don't even know where to go behind that.
It could be so much more productive.
You're
Okay.
outside, but you can find the Dean Park.
That's what made it
House
so
arrest.
funny.
And then Dion, don't be trying to answer this like this is a real question. She talking about no, because the GPS can't be tracked to a local location. For real, Dion.
Yeah.
You ain't got nothing to do with your
I know,
time,
I'm just
but
saying.
entertain Jermaine's
I'm just saying,
foolishness.
These are questions
You
that,
know, Dion,
that I
come on.
ponder.
Dion, I'm so sad by you.
But these are questions I ponder, Michelle.
I
Respect.
And I do. I believe you. I'm not doubting that you ponder. I'm not questioning that you ponder. Nope.
Yeah, I be
I'm
pondering.
not. Yep, you right up there with some other folks who call the station.
May the Lord watch. While we're absent one from another.
It's too late for all of that.
Yeah.
God
Try to
clearly
bring it back.
decided to let him fall through the cracks. Like, hey,
No.
you can't save everybody. I'm telling you, bro.
Did Regina drop you on your head now?
I think it was more like I
You
got slapped
can't
in between the
save
ears. You know how you
everybody.
get that?
You can't save everybody.
I think that's what happened.
Um,
I got the.
Mr.
Michelle,
Du-
I'm fine.
Are you?
Yeah.
No, you
Can we move on?
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Are you
'cause-
moving me along? Is that what's happening?
No, that wasn't the intention. I just
That's, so
I
you
have
taking
no-
his happiness and you
Yeah,
moving me
'cause he done
along.
made me sad.
I mean, I'm
You-
just saying, man.
You taking his joy
He's right.
and moving me along.
Yeah.
You know what?
No, that wasn't.
after-
That wasn't the
That's why
intent.
don't nobody mess with you
After
either.
all of the pondering, I be
Somebody gonna talk about so. Oh, Dion, when I got at Dion for entertaining your foolishness, talking about GPS tracking, she gonna respond. Michelle, that's on you. You allow him his questions.
Yeah.
Did you say yeah?
Yeah.
You know what? I ain't got time to be
Someone
arguing.
want to ask the question.
I have no time
So
to
you
be
got a
arguing
phone
with
call,
you
too.
and your supporters.
I'm just saying.
I do not.
You know, I told you I was
Um,
feeling jubilant.
All right now. Let me
Yeah.
go to the phone line. Hey caller, what's
Good morning,
happening?
Michelle.
Good morning. Good morning.
I just told you, man, you so stupid. Do I really know you? Do I really know you?
No,
Do any of us
no,
really
nobody
know
knows me.
Right. Nobody. You be speaking of some serious stuff when you be at home by yourself. Like,
You heard her say by
I
yourself.
think you need some company.
She snuck in by
Yeah.
yourself.
that? She
Would you
emphasized.
like a cat, dog, something, a bird? I'll help you.
By,
She said.
by
She
yourself.
said.
You need
You
a
need a
pet.
cat, a
You
dog,
need a
a
companion.
parrot. You need a baby alligator. What you need?
Yeah, lizard, iguana.
You need the
Maybe we
Geico
can get
dude.
that
What
big
you need?
raccoon,
We need
Michelle
something that
think.
can
Maybe
answer
we
him
can get
back,
that.
You need somebody you can talk to and they will
we
respond.
gonna get him some help, Angela. We gonna
Yeah.
Because you
Good
know, you
morning,
always say,
Debo.
I asked myself,
Yeah, man.
and
But,
self said,
yeah, I'm telling you, myself be telling me, man.
we gonna get him some help.
help him. Please help him.
We gonna get him some help.
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Angela.
Good morning, Debo.
top of the morning to you, Angela.
Yep. Clark Kent, who you with, player?
Clark.
It ain't
He's
with
not
us.
here, but
He's
he hear
not
you.
home.
He hear you.
Okay,
He
well.
said it at home. He said it.
You said who you?
All right. You man.
huh.
Okay, you have a good day, dear, and you know I love you.
Dear.
So let me know which one of them animals you want me to help you contribute.
Well, can you go
Get
give me?
home.
Can you go give me medulla oblongata? If you can give me one of those.
Thank you, Angela. No, you have a good day, Angela. I'm not gonna do this with you, man. Have a good day, Angela. Appreciate you, sis. You know what? Ladette on here laughing.
My dear.
Hey, Ladette. Hey, Shelby.
Did you hear that word, dear, Michelle?
I did. I heard all of it.
Very affectionate.
Okay. Let me do a couple things because
And
I
all of
got
his jubilant.
guests coming in at 8:00. So I have limited time that I'm wasting on y'all. So let me stop it right now. A couple of things. Number one, yesterday the sister called in about concerns and complaints about activities that were going on in her apartment complex that were impacting older women, and she reached out for some help. Someone was listening to that conversation, so I ended up calling the sister back, got information, but before I could even call her back, before I had got in my car, there was a text message to me from the village board president in Brown Deer, which is actually where the apartment is located. And the village board president was listening to the show. And she said, see if it's these apartments and let me know. So when I talked to the woman, it was in fact those apartments. She then said, okay. I gave her the woman's number. She talked and connected with the woman. So this basically is the mayor of Brown Deer who calls this woman to follow up on the conversation, get more information. And then she contacts the folks who run the apartment. She contacts the local authorities, and they have information on the allegations that the woman made. They know that there's a problem. They're trying to deal with the problem. So all of this happened over the course of like an hour, hour and a half. Again, village board president Wanda Montgomery listening to the radio and is texting me before I get off the air saying, hey, let me know if this is this apartment building. But the reason why this is something that I thought was noteworthy to bring up on the air, Wanda Montgomery is not in Wisconsin right now.
Mm.
She is at a funeral burying her mother's brother.
Wow.
So she's listening while she's out of town at the hotel, getting ready, or wherever she was staying, getting ready to go to the funeral. And she's transacting this business with me and this woman who called in while she is going to the funeral. And when the funeral was over, she followed back up to say X, Y, and Z. You got Negroes sitting right here in town that are elected officials who do not follow up in a timely manner. Sometimes they don't return your call at all. So I just need to say kudos, tall respect to the village board president, Wanda Montgomery, because she initiated the contact, followed up with everything, but she does this while she is grieving and taking care of family business and a funeral in a whole nother state.
That's amazing.
Come on now.
That's amazing.
So you gotta acknowledge, because like I said, if I open the lines right now and say, tell me if you called the legislator and nobody called you back, not the legislator, not their staff, you still waiting on an answer, them lines will light up.
But Michelle, that explains why she didn't have an opponent.
That part too. That part too.
Who gonna run against her?
Because one thing I learned from Martha Love a long time ago: have receipts for your work.
Yeah.
You need to have receipts. When you up in people's face, talking about you want to vote or you want to be this or you want to be that, folks need to be able to turn around, and you should have some witnesses and some receipts for what you've done. So I just wanted to shout out Wanda, because when I tell you I appreciated that, and I mean it ran like clockwork, follow up. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God, responsive government. That's what it looks like. All right. So let me take a second and hit a couple of things. Oh, wait. Before I hit a few of these little stories, I'm gonna try to work in before our guests arrive. Listening to Keith's show yesterday about the discussion about Jamal Bryant's wife, Reverend Bryant's wife, and what's her name? I think I know it, but let me make sure I got it right. So listening to that conversation, for real, is this internet not working right? Jesus Christ. Jesus! I can't, man. I can't.
She called him like she really knew.
Right.
I
Right.
can't.
That was most so funny.
Call on
Jesus.
He will answer prayers if you call on Jesus. He will answer prayers.
Look,
Hilarious.
let me hook up yet again to my own hotspot.
See,
Hold on.
or you might have to run a long extension cord down Capitol to Spectrum.
When I tell you,
Jermaine, would you stop?
I mean, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying.
Okay. You on the new one that I gave you yesterday?
No, I ain't had time to put that in yet.
Well, that's what the problem is.
Well, I'll get it in. Hey, bro.
Okay.
Or just
Stuff should
read
just
it.
work when you walk in the door. I ain't got time for all this.
Well,
All right.
You got to type in the password.
I'm gonna do it on the break.
Debo, go comment
All
the
right.
poll.
So,
Hook it up.
Dr. Carrie Turner Bryant. Thank you. Dr.
She was
Carrie.
on the Tamron show, wasn't she? Or what's the name of that show?
I don't know.
To,
Tamron Hall?
yeah. She was on the Tamron Hall show yesterday.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to check it out.
Did they talk about the dress?
Yep.
Did she show you the dress?
I mean, I just saw
the picture or something.
No, I saw her talking. She was up there sitting there talking, and she was saying how she wasn't trying to cause a stir with anything, and she don't even, think like that. She was wearing it just because she liked it, and her husband liked it, so that's why she was wearing it. But yeah, she was on the Tamron Hall show.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me just say what I wanted to say, because I'm up against my break in a minute. So I listened. I was driving, and I said, "Let me see what Keith talking about." And I happened upon the conversation about Carrie Turner Bryant's dress, Jamal Bryant's wife's dress. And I was listening to folks, call in. I listened to Jermaine's, many what ifs. Think about this. Okay, okay. I listened to all of that. But I ended up calling in because, and I know Keith has some listeners that I don't have that, like, it's a group of women don't mess with me. I already know that, and I'm cool with that. So Keith had some women that was calling in yesterday that completely and 100% appalled me, because these Black women that were calling into Keith's show yesterday was talking about Carrie Turner Bryant and calling her a hoe. I think one lady said she was a 50-cent hoe. Lying on the lady, telling me she had pasties on and the dress was see-through. It was so irresponsible. It was so offensive. It was so disrespectful. Like, you sitting in judgment of somebody else, and you feel like the way to talk about what it is you find offensive is to add further what word do I want? To add further, because I really just want to say BS to the conversation, because it was a dress. And whether it was a sexy dress or not, it was a dress. I am sure that this minister's wife has worn 200 to 300 dresses in the last year. And we've never heard a single word about Carrie Turner Bryant's clothing in a whole year. In fact, in her life. You've never heard anything. It's never made the news. And nope, she wasn't always married to Jamal Bryant, but she's been married to him for a little while now. And so you've never heard anything about this woman being scantily clad, dressing sexually provocative. You've never done that. You've never heard that. So based on one dress, and whether you like it or not, but based on one dress, you had Black women who felt justified, felt, that they completely was standing on Jesus to call in here and not only talk about the dress, but to berate the woman herself. And I literally was sitting back like, so as a woman, you don't understand what you're doing right now? How you setting back the cars right now? When a woman is sexually assaulted and people would ask her, well, what did you have on? Or how short was your skirt? As if that's a justification for being raped. And I know with some ignorant people out here that's listening, that's going to say, well, my behind. My length of my skirt don't have nothing to do with you controlling your behavior, with you controlling your penis, with you controlling your body, with you controlling your mind. The length of my skirt don't have nothing to do with you. And she's a pastor's wife, and she should have better, decorum and blah blah blah. Well, what are you? You are a woman attacking another woman, and you doing it and making it personal and visceral and trying to assign to her character that she is some loose woman, that's out here in the street sleeping with everybody and just felt comfortable. She a hoe. It sounded so So sad. Let me stop playing because I'm being nice. It sounded ignorant. It sounded very, 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 very ignorant. Chest puffed out. You doing all of this hate and all of this judgment about one dress. You don't know nothing about that woman. And oh, she got blonde hair. That's what's the blonde hair? Let me be clear. Mozella Braxton, which is my mama, rocked blonde hair for as long as I can remember. And my mama was highly educated and had a good Christian home. You wouldn't know it sometime by talking to me. That was way too loud. It was way too much laughter. But because somebody likes a certain color hair, white women don't own the market on blonde. Half of the white women you see with blonde hair, that's not really the color of their hair. So you're trying to emulate white women. No, I like this hair color. It matches my skin tone. It looks good on me. Beyonce looked good with her blonde. My mama looked good with her blonde. It's a bunch of sisters look good with blonde because it matches their skin tone. But now I'm trying to be white because I wear different. So if I wear my hair, that cherry cola that a lot of sisters like, who are you trying to be with that? If I dye my hair black, who am I trying to be with that? But it was women that felt comfortable judging and dragging a woman based on one thing, which was a dress. Y'all need to cut it out and be more intelligent and more educated than that. I'm not going to make a whole character assessment about you because I see a dress. I'm not going to do that because that's when you make mistakes. And I'm going to just say this. It's plenty sisters that's suited and got that button up to their neck, and they're the biggest freaks on the planet.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But you can't see they dirt.
That's true.
It's a whole bunch of them sitting in the church, in the office, in your circle. Mm-hmm. Oh, they got all the prim, proper poise, blah, blah, blah. And they the freaks come out at night. Jump downs and will do a whole bunch to maintain their lifestyle, to maintain them Louboutin shoes, to maintain that Benz that they driving. So I might not, have my cleavage showing, but I'm letting bros know, oh, you can get this if you're going to keep my purse filled. Y'all going to stop that. Y'all going to stop that. We work every day to stop trying to berate and belittle Black women. Because these people already got us out here as sexual vixens and promiscuous and baby mamas. And, you got 7 kids. And the lady couldn't talk about her house being shot up without folks on Facebook. 7 kids. Why is that your business? Why is it some people like big families? Why is that your business? But I'm just going to say it again. Y'all. Learn to have some tolerance and some patience and some fairness with people. It's a whole bunch of sisters with bad bodies that's also brilliant. And they got bad bodies and they show it and they brilliant. Your mind went to the gutter on the dress. Well, that's what the designer intended. That don't mean I got to go there. But to drag and berate her personally and to challenge her character, and you know nothing about her, ain't never been in a room with her, never had a conversation with her. You've not even looked into her background. You don't know anything about this sister. Y'all need to be shamed, man. Y'all need to be shamed. Don't do to us what other people, white people, do to us all the time. To reduce Black women to nothing but hoes. What Don Imus talked about the basketball team? Yeah, they was a bunch of nappy-headed hoes. Felt comfortable saying that. That's what they do to us. How dare you do it? About a dress, Jesus. It was a dress. It was a dress. You couldn't see her boobs. You couldn't see her nana. It was a dress. Oh, but the illusion was there, Michelle. But could you see it? Could you see it? You could not. You ain't got to like the dress. And you don't have to like that she's a pastor's wife and she wore it. But what you do have to do is stop attacking people's personal integrity and character and intelligence because you disagree with a clothing choice. And again, you ain't never heard nothing else about this woman inappropriately up until this moment with this dress. Now, her whole life and everything she's about is summed up in a dress choice. There are many of us that if somebody saw us on our worst day, we wouldn't want them to characterize our entire life, our entire being, our entire value based on what you saw that day. Y'all need to stop and be more mature and more forgiving. That's why I tell people I don't mess with a bunch of church folks and a bunch of these holier than thou Negroes. Yeah, hell yeah, they messy. But they sit up in judgment and are harsher than people in the streets. But you doing it under the banner of Jesus. You on the radio, she a hoe, a 50-cent hoe. You doing that under the banner of Jesus. Jesus didn't call you and ask you to do that for him. He know how to screen his people. He know how to judge who gets in, who don't get in. And I'm going to tell you, it's a bunch of y'all think y'all going, you ain't going nowhere but the hell. Because you're mean, you're ignorant.
You know the part that gets me, Michelle?
What?
They act like they ain't never been unsaved. Like they've never sinned. They ain't never did nothing wrong. They didn't drink. They didn't smoke. You know, they get so judgmental.
Well, I mean,
like they ain't never did no wrong in life.
But my thing is this. Even with all that being said, I'm just trying to take it in the moment that it's in. To be that visceral against that woman. And you know nothing about this woman. You don't know nothing about her charity work. You don't know nothing about her education. You don't know about what she do every day at that church to serve the members of that church. And there's never been a scandal about this woman. So to sit up and call her a hoe and laugh and call her all out her name based on a dress, she a hoe because you saw her cleavage and the dress was form fitting. So she a hoe? Like, just be better than that. That's all I'm asking people to do. Just be better than that. And if you're trying to help somebody to see something, you know, in a way that you want them to agree with your perspective, do you think belittling them and berating them is the way to do that? And, you know, and then the other thing is one sin greater than the other. Because it's Negroes that do all kind of dirt. But, you know, if you gay, that's the worst thing in the world. But last time I checked, it wasn't no scale on sin. They was all counted the same, if you consider that a sin. It wasn't no scale on sin. It wasn't. There isn't. Somebody said, well, the Bible say X, Y, Z. One of the things Keisha always say, the Bible also say you ain't supposed to wear wool. People wear wool every day. So I don't care about the dress that the lady had on, but what I do care is about the ease in which we are willing to label Black women derogatory names. But y'all never had no smoke for none of these men that's out here tramps and trashy. And you stay with them same tramp and trashy men who cheat on you, babies on you, and you stay with them. You can come up with an excuse for them. But women, we ain't got no room for forgiveness, no room for acceptance on women coming from other women. All right, we got a phone call. And Jermaine, I want you to say what you want to say because I see your face toe up. So let's go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning. Good morning. I hear you, Michelle, talking about the pastor's wife of yesterday. Now, I called in too, but I felt so sad that the radio station used all that time talking about that. And that was my statement. I see brothers and sisters out here that need more than a dress. They need to be encouraged that, brother, you can make it. Sister, you can make it. Not this woman. To me, that whole hour was ridiculous to go in the airways about that. And that's what I felt about that. I want to hear somebody tell somebody where they can get some food at, where they can get some health care, not spend an hour. I'm talking about even the radio station. You got to know when to cut it off. And that's what I've seen in that. I didn't hear that you were talking about. I'm glad I didn't. But to me, that's, you all are blessed to have the airways. And when you can put something in the atmosphere that can help people, that's what I want to hear. God bless you.
Yes, ma'am.
Go
Thank
further.
you. I
Go
appreciate it.
further.
Yes, ma'am. I hear you.
All
Somebody texted Michelle, you know, people judge you off your appearance, regardless of what type of accomplishments you've achieved. And again, when I called in yesterday, just because they do it doesn't mean it's right. And just because they do it, should I do it? Jermaine, what you got to say? Go on. Because I'm ready for you. Go right ahead.
This here is really a thin line, because I think that we are really missing the point. I think the point is not really about the dress. The point that everybody is really having an issue with is the position she holds. And when you hold a certain position, it's a certain prestige that you got to carry with that position. And I think that we having a conversation about a person's opinion, and opinions is not right nor wrong. However, we are missing the point of it's the position she holds, which is really causing the uproar.
So I want to be clear what my conversation is. This
No.
morning.
I understand that what yours is what the chick brought in and
the
saying
personal character assassination
right.
of this woman.
Right. I totally
like I said, I'm not getting ready to debate the title, you know, and the role, because as I said, I see people abuse titles and roles every day. It might not be with a tight dress, but it might be, you know, preaching this fake prosperity ministry. No. You get 500, God gonna bless you with 5,000, and all this nonsense. People abuse their positions in the church all the time, and we get real vocal on this appearance thing. But y'all sitting up in here listening to these people tell y'all that they getting ready to do X, Y, and Z, or I mean, we just see it abused all the time.
But Shell, to be fair, even with prosperity preaching is real. It's according to your faith. Now, all of these other people that's using that to rich themselves, they gonna be held accountable. But it's still real. Prosperity is real. However, not to move the goalposts, but to talk about this situation here, it'll be the same way if we had President Obama walk into the office with his pants sagging, his hat to the right, and a wife beater on, and a 40 in his hand. We would all say something about his appearance because of the office he holds. But if he was on the block, if he was an average hood cat, we wouldn't say anything because that's typical for that type of setting.
So let me say this. Number one, the example is so extreme that while you do have Congressman Fetterman who chooses to wear sweatpants to work at the United States Capitol, but the example is so extreme because anybody that ran for president would never show up like that. Okay, hang on.
No.
I'm coming. So I think it's an extreme example to provide, but I also think to say that if I'm offended by your pants sagging, your beater, and your ball cap in that role, odds are I'm offended by the brothers in Walmart with their pants sagging. and who
Well,
look crazy.
wait, but
Because why am I looking at your drawers?
Shell, but listen, what I'm saying is this: it's the perception and the prestigiousness of the office and the position that you hold. That's the real conversation. Because just like you said, and I've heard you say, this cat came to Congress in sweatpants. That's inappropriate for that office that he holds.
Because the tone is
Wait,
already set
hold
there.
on, wait.
And they actually
Wait.
have rules
See, but you just
in
said
a lot of
it.
these places about you got to wear a tie on the floor.
Hold on,
You
Shell.
got to wear X, Y, and Z.
Shell, but you just said it. You just
But
said
but if there are formal rules in place, that's one thing. Are there formal rules in place? Is there a written rules about what you can wear to church?
Wait, it is an unwritten rule.
Now I say
hold on,
unwritten.
wait.
I said written.
Wait,
Are there written rules about what you can wear to church?
There's no written rule with anything. However, there is an unwritten rule because just like you said to Debo, he was going to a funeral and he was dressed like he was going to Third and Keith, and you say that's inappropriate for the funeral because of where he was going at that particular time. So I think the whole conversation, we having a conversation about something that really don't matter. Yes, it's a dress. Yes, it was whatever. But the real conversation is the issue is the position she holds and wearing that type of stuff in the position you hold. That's the issue.
Okay. I she's been holding that position for a while.
About 4 years.
Has she ever had worn anything that you are aware of that raised the controversy?
Well, one, from watching they services on stream every now and again, I've never seen her in anything that was inappropriate
in the church.
In the church.
In the church.
For the position that
and
she
the
held.
other thing, she was at a gala.
I get again.
She was at a formal dinner gala.
I get it.
I got the picture up on screen.
Yeah.
And it would be different if she looked trashy or floozy-ish. She's on her husband's arm in a beautiful gown. I can see the neckline where you see that is a flesh, as you spoke about yesterday. That's flesh tone. That is not just some small straps up there. You know, yeah, you see a little cleavage, but so what?
But again,
she's out with her husband on a beautiful evening in a gown that he said he purchased, and she don't look trashy.
Again, we having a conversation about something that don't even matter. We missing the point. The point that everybody is having and the issue that everybody is having with what she wore at that particular time is the position she holds. So again, we having conversations about something that's irrelevant.
And again, so we gotta move on because y'all spent a lot of time on it yesterday. I only got a couple more minutes before the guests. We can always circle back. I think that it is an important conversation because it does frame for us how we view people, how we engage people, and what the expectations are. I'm just going to say be consistent with your expectations because people are more worried about a dress than they are about behavior. It's plenty of pastors that's raggedy in their roles, and they don't get called out. Plenty. And y'all know they raggedy, and they don't get called out. So I'm going to call you out for the visual on a dress. But I'm not going to call you out on behavior that I know that I see is raggedy. And it's silence. It's silence. It's silence. Some of this is sexist. I'm sorry. We and somebody sent me something, said we have norms and then we have rules. We're talking about norms. Let me go to a break. I'll be right back. All right, family, welcome back to the show. Let me try working a few callers before the guests get here. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I was listening to your conversation, and I feel just like you do because, when you cut when you cut people down, period, black people, whatever, you're talking about yourself too, especially if you're black. But anyways, what I really wanted to say now, isn't Jamal Bryant, isn't he and his wife, are they into this freedom march to help us, keep our
They
freedom?
led they led the boycott on Target.
Yeah.
To fight the tax on diversity, equity, inclusion. He
Mhm.
does quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what they need to know. Instead of fighting about the dress his wife wore, they need to get on the train. I call it the love train. Get on that train with him and help fight for our freedom, because these folks trying to take everything we have fought for. And one time I had like similar argument like that with a in-law. And I mean, it just got really bad because she was going down that same route, calling, black women kids and all, what. And I just said, they don't have to be all of that. Come on now. But I think a lot comes from the rap music too. They listen to a lot of that and they say some of the words that they're saying.
All right. Thank you, caller. I appreciate it. Got another caller. Let's get them
bye-bye.
in. Yes, ma'am. Have a good day. I got another caller. Hey, caller. What's happening?
Hey, Michelle.
Hey.
Morning.
Good morning, Captain.
I'm just wondering why every radio station, even this, is wasting time with the woman's dress. I'm going to tell you something. I'm happy she wore the dress. I'm glad her husband wore it, bought it for her. She picked it out. Who cares? She has a great figure. And people get tired of saying, oh, I look so conservative. I have to look this way. When you look at the lady that in the picture when they went to serve with Jesus, she wasn't formally dressed up or anything like that. But what I'm getting to is that what's the point of even talking about it? She's a lady of the church. People always pick out something better to talk about. The man, what is he going to do? Lust at somebody else that's got a nice looking dress on instead of his wife? He knew he was going to get some reaction from it. And I'm sure we're going to hear about them later on. But I'm tired. I heard it on several stations. What's the point? I think I got a pretty great figure myself. So next time y'all see me, I'm looking for a dress like that. Trust me, I am, okay?
I'm looking, mother. I'm looking.
I'm not trying to brag about myself. I'm a little slimmer than her. I'm actually considered skinny, okay, in the model world, okay? 5'8", about 134 pounds, bust size 34D, okay? I'm just saying that. That's ridiculous. Yeah, they keep talking about the same stuff all day. The man was either going to look at somebody else like that, or he bought it for his wife, okay? He gonna look at somebody else like that. I'm gonna put this on my wife. He knew he was gonna get some reaction, and I'm glad she had that dress on. Who cares what revealing, what see-through? People see their own family having sex. People got 8 kids. You think they had 8 kids in a hotel? They had sex right in front of them kids in the same damn room, probably, okay? That's it. No, let's get real about it. Everybody acts like the nudity.
Okay.
All right.
What's the problem with it?
I got you. Thank you.
And then you let all these men walk around here, pastors being homosexuals and messing with all these young people and boys and stuff, and nobody has nothing to say about that. Should have been thrown out of the church and put in jail.
There's plenty to say. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, caller.
Let's leave the story alone. Talk about something else. I'm wait a minute.
I got you, and I appreciate it. Thank you, caller. Like I said, sure. I want to be clear about the reason I brought it up this morning. I'm not debating the dress. I'm gonna leave that to other people. I am frustrated and was upset at the characterization of this woman personally as a whore because she had on the dress. It was unfair. It was unnecessary. If you want to talk about protocol, talk about protocol. But personal character assassination, particularly when Black women are labeled like that all the time, highly sexualized. Our kids can't be kids because people want to talk about, their physical attributes. They make Black girls grown women before they're supposed to. We have got to be careful and manage how we talk about us. I got to take a break. I'll be right back.
AURN. I'm Jimmy Jackson. The polling shows Americans are deeply divided over President Donald Trump's recent military action in Venezuela. A new Reuters Ipsos survey finds the public almost evenly split. About 1/3 approve the action, 1/3 disapprove, unsure, or skip the question. Partisan divide is sharp. Nearly two-thirds of Republicans say they support the move, while approval among Democrats fell to just over 1 in 10. There's also broad concern about U.S. involvement in Venezuela. More than 7 in 10 Americans say they worry the United States could become too deeply involved in the country. The poll comes as the president acknowledged in recent interviews that this new taxpayer money could be used to reimburse oil companies for investments tied to Venezuela, either directly or through future revenue.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. I had a caller that held through the break. Let's get them in before we get to our guests that have joined us in studio. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, Michelle, this is me, Angela.
Hey, Angela.
I was going to speak on about the lady with the dress, but I'm going to let that go. You know what I'm saying? Because what you said about the pants sagging and all that, you know, look at their kids. They kids probably got their pants sagging. You know, they trying to discriminate against that lady. Damn them. That done pissed me off. And I'm an asshole. Come to my closet.
Angela.
What?
Really? Bye, Angela.
Well,
Wow.
My.
What? Hey, hold on. Maybe you need crickets. There's crickets in the house. Jesus. Lord have mercy.
Okay, give me a moment.
Us a moment.
give me a moment.
Boy.
I can hear the radio. oh my God. All right.
Wow.
So
Wow. Wow.
switching gears. People are cracking up on my feed. Switching gears. This morning we are fortunate to have our friends, folks at Milwaukee County Transit, who look out for this community, make sure we have information that we need to keep things moving and to keep things going. And you guys have come in at the right time to save me. Carolyn, can you turn it down for me a little bit? I can hear that. To save me from our conversation. Although I will see, I was like, let me see. We're talking about dress. I don't know if you've seen the stunning dresses that have been out this holiday, but some of them were provocative and people weighed in. So that's what that was about. In case, very passionate, very passionate, very passionate. But I'd like to welcome to the studio this morning, Jesus. Jesus, your last name?
Ochoa.
Ochoa. That's because I had a question mark about always how to pronounce it. And Bryant.
Denise, very good.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
yes. Bryant, this is our first time with you.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome to the
Thank you so
studio.
much. Thank you.
Jesus walked in like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me again. No, I love coming on the show.
This is what I do. So first of all, Happy New Year's, gentlemen.
Happy New Year to you.
A lot is going on. People have been kind of antsy about the future of transit. We know that there had been some concerns budgetarily. There were talks about limiting route times and or frequency of bus traffic. And so there have been a lot of questions that have been raised. So one of the things that we can do is to talk about from both perspectives about what it is that we have going on that's working well, and things that people should understand about whether or not there have been any reduction in services on certain routes. But what I'll do first is have you both introduce yourself, let people know what your titles are. I understand somebody has a new title. Is that correct, Jesus?
Yeah.
All right. So, Jesus, why don't I start with you? Former state representative Myers is listening. She said, and she's being funny, Jesus is back. He was so good the last time.
Thank you.
So,
Jesus never left. You know what I'm saying? But anyway.
Yeah, I like you, Brian. You're going to fit right in. Right in. All right. So, Jesus, tell folks about this new title and what's going on with the role.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm happy to be back. And thank you, as always, for inviting MCTS.
You were really good the last time you were here.
Yeah, well, I mean,
everybody was so proud of you.
We have a great team, MCTS. They, marketing team, the PR team. They, they do a really great job, and they prep me up. So kudos to them. But yeah, no, I'm now the director of the Service Development Department for a good part of 4 months now.
Okay.
So my previous role, I was in the planning manager in the planning division. So that's where we conceptualize a lot of the routes, the service levels, the bus stops. And the director position now, I oversee the scheduling department, the transit enhancement, and the planning division. So just giving a little bit more direction from more of that 30,000 foot view. So yeah, I've been in this role, and there's a lot of changes coming up January 11th. So we really want our riders to visit our website and learn a little bit more about the upcoming changes. There are some reductions in service, and we'll maybe get a little bit into that in a bit here.
Okay, perfect. And Brian, how about you and your role? I heard something about marketing over there.
That's correct. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications, Bryant Deneve. I recently came to Milwaukee County Transit System about 6 months ago. It's been an eventful 6 months if anybody reads the headlines or pays attention to what's going on. There were some things years in the making that we had to address, I think, most recently, and that's kind of where we're at. So we'll talk more about that. But I've been in public service for quite a long time, about the last 12 years. I spent a lot of time serving the city of Milwaukee, mostly for the administration at the Department of Public Works. I was also the public information supervisor for the Common Council for a time there, and served the 15-member body there, and have been in mobility and public service and community engagement for quite a while. And so my team, I couldn't be anywhere without them. I got about 6 people. So that includes everything from our videographer that highlights those excellence videos of like the operators, that all the heroic deeds they do, to the flyers and brochures that you see in the actual bus, all the way to any ad campaigns and some of the marketing we've done with even WNOV, and of course our media relations team as well. So, just kind of an overall comprehensive approach to making sure that everybody understands what's taking place, and really appreciate you having us to kind of fulfill that mission.
Well, I'm going to tell you, listening to the varied roles that you've had, you must be good, because I've not heard your name before. Usually by the time we start hearing names, it's like, they did what now? Who do they work for?
Behind the scenes guy. That's what I try to be.
Well, look, it's a good place to be. I try to, well, no, let me not say that. I was going to say I try to stay there, but I don't. So somebody even, a quick question. Somebody wanted to know, is the HOP a part of any of this conversation?
So no, the HOP is actually managed by the city of Milwaukee.
Okay.
We do have great partnerships with the city of Milwaukee and their staff to ensure that our transit system and the HOP can
And the
working
reason
on it.
why, and
That's
I knew the answer, but I wanted you to provide it, is because we laugh about this all the time. People always associate the buses with the city.
Mm-hmm.
The city bus. People say it everywhere you go. The city bus, and there definitely is a distinction. In that same text thread, though, someone said, this whole issue with the Milwaukee County Transit system that had come up. They didn't understand, and folks don't understand why we have an outside entity that runs that for us. Is that anything you can answer, Jesus? Or at least give a backstory on? Do we because of the mismanagement and the things that people saw? So, and I'm real transparent about when folks ask questions.
Yep.
If I can get an answer for them, I try. But that was one of the questions. Why doesn't the county run the Milwaukee County Transit System themselves? Why do we have an outside entity basically that does that? Any backstory or knowledge of the backstory on that?
I can give you a little background on
Okay,
that.
Brian.
My understanding is MCTS just celebrated its 50th anniversary just last year. We're now in 2026. Hard to believe, right? But
Yes.
2025 was the 50th anniversary, and that was the time when MCTS as a system was launched. I believe it was kind of a combination of some different lines that were privately owned. Want to say about like 10, 12 years ago,
Wait,
the county.
you said lines that were
Yeah,
privately owned?
yes, there was different companies, I think, that operated those. As almost more of a private entity than what we have today. And so an established countywide system took place in 1975. So,
Okay.
and so since then, though, there have been more actions that have really integrated into more of the county. So I believe it was 10 or 12 years ago, the county board moved to make it more of a quasi-governmental instrumentality. So we have a brand new leader in place. His name is Steve Fuentes. He's the president and CEO of MCTS, but he does report up to the Milwaukee County DOT director, executive director. So there is a lot of governance. There's a lot of oversight from the county itself, in working in under the administration as well. But there is a certain amount of autonomy, in the way we're structured. But it's a great question. And so, one of the, that's part of that is things that have brought up is a lot of the concerns people have said, well, if you fold it into the county, would it have better oversight? Not sure. I know that's something that's being taken a look at even from the comptroller's office as part of their comprehensive audit. But for now, we consider ourselves a very professional organization.
All right, that's fair. Well, let me do this then. Jesus, I did want to ask you about the reductions. A number of people were concerned about that. The county exec was actually in himself and talked about, that they had looked at the data.
Yep.
And said, hey, we realized we got maybe only 5 people on the bus at this particular time frame, this window.
Mhm.
So it makes sense to do some reductions in place. I didn't know how much of that was tentative the last time he was here. So have we solidified all of that at this point? And is that information available? And what was most impacted that the community should be aware of?
Yeah, those are all great questions. To answer, the first one, yes, it has been solidified. Our plan, it's kind of twofold. So we're launching a number of reductions and changes starting January 11th, this Sunday.
Okay.
So originally, just to take a little step back for anyone that hasn't, been following this, we were projected with a $14 million deficit by the end of 2026. In order to, meet that deficit, we had originally had 6 routes for elimination. Some of the lower ridership routes in our system that make up about 5% of the entire annual ridership. So we took a look at a number of data points to ensure that a deficit of this magnitude is going to have an impact. How can we mitigate that as much as possible? Preserve as much of that service where people are riding, when people are riding. So to Executive Crowley's point, there are certain times of day where ridership really peaks off. Across our system, we have ridership in the AM where people are going to work, going to school, and the PM when people are coming back from work, coming back from school, going to medical appointments. There are different times of day where we have different service levels. So trying to find a way to make up that deficit without having as much of an impact to our riders as possible. So some of those changes that riders can expect to see are some midday reductions. So we really wanted to preserve that service during the weekdays when 73% of all our ridership occurs, right? Preserving it on those corridors with high frequency where historically there's been a lot of ridership year in and year out. So luckily we were able to get $4 million from the county board of supervisors and the county executive in the budget. So instead of eliminating those 6 routes, we're able to preserve them through 2026. So the line is still there from around 6 in the morning to 9 a.m. and then 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on those 6 routes that were originally slated to be eliminated. In the original plan, we also had a few routes that we were looking to trim down. Essentially, there's segments of routes that not a lot of people are riding, right? So in order to preserve the segments that most people are riding, we also looked at that. So that would be part of that second phase that's starting in March. And a lot of this information is actually on our website right now that's showing you today, you're waiting for a bus. It comes every 15 minutes. Tomorrow it might come every 20 minutes. And, schedules and things like that nature are also online for our riders to reference.
So you said that with the $4 million infusion from the county or from the supervisors, however this money is allocated, we're good through 2026.
Correct.
After 2026, or as we work our way in through 2027, we are still having these conversations, though, because we're still looking at overall sustainability or filling these voids financially, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And that's something that, in these next 10 months to 12 months, that's where we'll as MCTS need to go out to the community, look at the data, look at things that look at the changes that are happening this January and March, and look at what can our system look like to be sustainable in the long term. We are one of the only transit systems in the nation that does not have a dedicated funding source.
Right.
So that throws a wrench into our planning processes, right? Because if you don't know how much money you'll have or what,
which
will
is
happen,
amazing to me, having worked in the state legislature, dealt with Senator Taylor when she sat on joint finance. You just think about like the things that are necessary to make a county function, a city function, and you're like, what do you mean we don't have a dedicated funding source? So yeah, okay, conversation.
And for context on that, $170 million a year is our operating budget on average, depends on the year. So that's a lot of money that we're essentially, beholden to budget pressures. We obviously fill that we can with grants, but there's, when it comes down to what's relegated by the elected officials who are great partners, it's still, is that a sustainable source? Not necessarily.
And I mean, one of the things that the county exec did when he was in is he tried to make sure that he put it in context in looking at the issues facing transit systems across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So funding, there was money that was able to be backfilled with ARPA that we don't have anymore. Even the whole thing with the folks not paying, the people that were riding and refusing to pay or didn't have the money to pay. And, when we first hear the stories in the media, like, oh my God, do something. And then he says, relative to the rest of the nation, this is happening everywhere.
Yes.
As we try to figure out how to handle this. Brian, was there anything you wanted to add to that question that I raised about the reduction in service from the marketing side of things and helping people visualize or understand impact? Is there anything you want to add to that?
I just want to make sure that people understand that, these aren't decisions that were made lightly. They were also decisions that were made, quite frankly, reactively, because we had, the way the budget process works, and, your callers are probably well aware of this. It's an annual process that goes in through the county. They essentially debate it beginning early summer, and then it becomes solidified within a few months. And so during that time, in discovering where we were fiscally looking into 2026, we had to make some major changes. And then Jesus is phenomenal with his team, and they took a very data-centric approach. But, in 2027, if there are additional reductions that need to be made, they'll be done with a lot more, I would say, comprehensive, holistic foresight and community input than we were able to achieve in just, really what was just a few short weeks, looking primarily just at the data, because the data doesn't tell all the same story. Really, who's on those lines? Who are the most vulnerable people? I mean, we did look at like car ownership when it came to, other alternatives to transportation, the socioeconomic conditions of the neighborhoods. However, you sometimes have to get in there and talk to the people and get to the stories. And so we've been able to find out more of that during the town hall process. We joined County Supervisor Priscilla Cox-Jones as part of her Listen and Learn, and got a little more insight as to like who was on the particular lines we were looking at slating for changing. And we're going to be doing more of that in 2026 to prepare for 2027.
So quick question. So, and I was looking at some of the notes that have been sent over. So is this all happening in one phase? Like the changes, was there a phase 1, phase 2 discussion?
Yeah, so there's 2 phases. So the first phase starts just January 11th, Sunday, and it runs until our spring schedule. So normally we have 4 schedules in a year. They go with the seasons.
Okay.
This year's a little different just because we needed to start some of these changes in January to see the savings by the end of the year, right? So the reductions needed to start essentially as quick as
Right
possible.
away, right.
So in starting at the 11th, the changes that riders should expect are that peak period reduction on those 6 routes. So that Route 20, Route 28, your Route 33, Route 34, Route 55, and Route 58. Those 6 routes will only operate during the peak periods. And one of the biggest things that we heard.
Let me back you up for just 1 second. Hey, Jesus. Carlos, I see you. I'm gonna get to you folks that are sending me questions. I'm gonna work all of it in as best I can. So I'm not good, when you say Route 28, Route 33.
Sure. Okay.
So for folks to have maybe a visual to
Yeah.
the extent possible, can you help us understand kind of where these routes are?
Absolutely. So they're scattered across the county. They're, again, some of the lower ridership routes. And one of the things I would really like to emphasize to a lot of our riders is usually when you see the map and you see lines on the map, that doesn't tell the whole story, right? We're right outside of, here at Capitol Drive. We have within 4 blocks, we have Route 12, Route 19, which is 19's on Atkinson. Route 12 is on Teutonia, and Red Line is on Capitol. All those routes have 7 to 10 buses on them in a given peak period, right?
Okay.
So these routes that are running, will run only from about 6 in the morning to 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Those routes typically have 1 bus, and to the maximum, Route 28 on 108th Street has 4 buses. So, and that's historically based on the demand of those corridors. So Route 20 is on South 20th Street. Route 33 is on Bleat, and a little bit into 84th Street on West Allis area, Tosa. So Route 34, that one runs from like 92nd, Congress, down Capitol, Fond du Lac, all the way down to downtown. We have our Route 58, which is on Villard, Route 55, which is on Layton Avenue. So they're a little bit everywhere. And to,
'Cause that was one of the questions I definitely was going to ask to make sure that listeners, could get a sense of, appreciate, or understand if, for lack of a better way to say it, in some cases that this is being spread across the county. It's not concentrated in just one area. Again, it is data driven, but to help people understand, because again, not everybody is a bus rider, but we may have kids that are, family members that are. And I'm gonna tell you, I live out off 107th and Good Hope, and forever we didn't have really transit out there. And then when we did, because evidently it's not a high traffic area, so you would see people just walking, like forever to get from one place to a stop. And so even though I don't ride the bus, I care about my neighbors and the folks that are moving in the area and them having access. And I see women going to work and they're walking down the side of the road at 5:30 in the morning. And I'm like, Jesus. So, for people that are listening, we know that there is concern across the board, whether we ride or we don't ride and utilize these services. A couple of quick things. And then, Brian, I want to get you in because I know there were some conversations about Wisco. And that we want to make sure that folks have. But someone said, ask if the long-term freeway closures and the constructions were factors in the 2026-2027 transit changes. And they specifically mentioned 60th Street and Hawley Road, for example.
Sure, I can answer that one. Yeah, no, that is a completely separate project. So the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, there's an 8-year project to essentially restructure the I-94 freeway. So it's an 8-year project. It's completely separate. Now they did provide MCTS with monies over those 8 years to help with detours. So the Route 60, for instance, that one and Route 44 are currently on detour.
Okay.
So some of that funding will help maybe add a bus to a line or add some time that is needed for the detour. So the 60 today is going all the way out to 70th Street when it's normally on 60th. So all that time has to be added to the schedule. Time equals money in the transit world. So It is not part of the 2026 budget or operating cost. It is separate, but we do have information on our website where riders can learn when things are going to start closing, where they need to stop, where they need to get picked up at. And throughout the year, more of these communication pieces will be sent out to our riders.
And I want to say that look at the bus as a way to, if you got to be in traffic, you just got to relax, right? Think about that. So, and the freeway is going to be causing, and already has caused traffic, not just on the actual highway, but the side roads as people bypass or take detours. So, and however, the Connect One, which of course the bus rapid transit has dedicated lines for much of that, is one way to also bypass that. So yeah, look at MCTS as an option to not have to worry about the headaches of all those road jams, right?
Yeah. Well, one thing that came, somebody just said, and I'm gonna go to the phone. I worked them in. So I didn't notice. This is cool. Somebody said, "Yeah, the Giannis line." That is so funny. The Giannis line is used by, what does it say? Several middle school, high school kids. So literally, they call it the Giannis line.
Yeah, we called
Hilarious.
we called it the Giannis line about in 2019. I want to say when he got this first MVP. We had like a Yelich line for 22 as well. It's just a little play on the number
That is
and
cool.
where it went. But yeah, that one thing that I really one thing that I really heard from a lot of riders is, and just in general through this whole process, is just how important transit is, and we know that, right? But it just really emphasizes how many people go to work, go to school, and that was part of ensuring that these routes are going to operate in that AM and PM peak. We heard from a lot of riders, I need to get to work by 6 a.m. So there's little things that we've been doing to try to make some changes to ensure that we can provide the best service we can with the money we have.
All right, so let me do this. Let me get one caller in before we go to break.
Yep.
Hey, caller, what's happening? Hello? Try the next one, Jay. Uh-oh.
Michelle?
Yes. Hey, caller.
With all due seriousness, this is Angela. I want to ask the people at the bus, at the station here, about the go passes. Now, I've heard so many times the bus drivers talking to me, because I know a lot of them, because I ride the bus a lot, that y'all gonna stop people from getting on for free, but y'all steady letting them ride. I can understand sometimes people ain't got money, but these are people every day that you see getting on every day, the same people riding for free all day long, every day, and I'm a person that pays. I keep my go pass full for myself because I know I have to get on the bus. But when y'all gonna put a stop to that? Because that's not right for those of us that do pay. And these same people every day getting on, disrespecting the bus driver and cussing them out and calling them out their name, want to beat them up and all this, that, and the third. And they letting them on for free. Why are y'all letting that go on?
All right, thank you, Angela. We'll get an answer, possibly get an answer to your question. That was a lot. And there are some people that checked in that said, Angela ain't lying. So either of you want to tackle what she put out there?
Thank you, Angela. First off, we're paying. Okay, I'm just maybe you didn't hear that enough, but
can we get a clap for the paying, Jermaine? Get on your job, man.
Is the thing, and that's happened as stated earlier on the station, nationwide. It just, I think maybe society has changed to where these ideas of what you think you can get away with and whether you should do something or not, have just kind of altered over time, and that's unfortunate. So I will say that as part of that budget that was just passed, there was an amendment to add additional funding toward the Milwaukee County Transit System Security Apparatus, or Public Safety Officer program, which is essentially, we have many former law enforcement and military that are uniformed officers that do safety and security and either go on buses or respond to incidents. They're often first on the scene to assist with law enforcement before those first responders then show. We are actually in the hiring process right now to augment that team. So if you're interested in you think you have the background and the expertise to help with that, please go to our website and our careers page, because we are hiring, and we'll be essentially beefing up that staff to focus specifically on fare evasion. Separately, when it comes to something she mentioned as far as maybe the violence that may take place against operators or anyone else, is there was also a separate activity for Milwaukee County Sheriff's officers to be deployed on select routes as a pilot program in 2026. So that'll be taking place very soon. And that will be not, they won't necessarily be working on fare evasion. They'll be looking on more of the more serious offenses. But in 2026, we're very confident that we'll be looking at an overall much safer, secure experience for the riders throughout the system.
All right. So one of the things that I wanted to get to, and again, I'm glad it was flagged because 2 people have already hit me about it. Transit Plus riders, and how things are faring for them right now. And are there some changes in how people will actually pay to utilize these services?
So the Transit Plus riders, those are the paratransit riders that qualify specifically because they have a vulnerability of a medical incident. You know, these are the ones that can schedule especially a special service for them rather than going to the normal fixed routes. That's being maintained in 2026. We are able to convert that to Wisco, which is essentially like the plastic card. Prior to that, people had to use cash or tickets, and that's not. We'll still be able to maintain that, but we're really looking to people to go to Wisco. It's just a much more convenient option for them. So we suggest people the Transit Plus riders, and that's something that's been very popular. Something they've been asking for quite a while, just because it's much easier for them to be part of that overall payment system with Wisco, which is already in existence for the normal fixed route, along with even some systems outside of Milwaukee County that we also help facilitate for.
So let me do this. I need to take a break, but think about this while we go, because I got 2 people hit me up and they said to the question that Angela raised about if there's anything that can actually be done to get people to pay these fares. Again, when the county exec was on, he was very clear about being worried about operator safety, because do you want operators actually trying to enforce payment and what that looks like, safety for people. Do we even have a situation where you literally can have a safety officer on every bus that, is particularly during peak hours utilizing throughout the county? So I think that there are people that are looking for a concrete answer to the question about fare evasion. I don't know what that looks like. So to think about that, whatever the response is, the official line is, because I know that, again, the frustration, I'm paying, others are not, but I wouldn't want to have to be that operator trying to enforce somebody to pay either. So just something to put out there to think about while we take a quick break. And Jermaine, I'm ready. I see you. Like, Michelle, take a break. I'm here. I'm working over here. All right, family, let me take a quick break. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM, getting you all the information that you need to know to be able to navigate the county transit system in the new year. We'll be right back, and we'll try to get you guys some answers on the fare evasion question. Right back. Family, welcome back. We need to hurry this up because I need to go ride the Giannis line. I think that is so cool. How have I missed the boat on this marketing? I'm gonna need better, man. Y'all gotta send me some so I know we got all of these swag lines out here that clearly the community knows about. I must just say this too. I remember one of the programs that the county does, like with legislators, that they would do office hours on the bus. And so Senator Taylor, State Representative Myers at the time, and like I think it was just more fun for Lena because she was just getting to ride the bus all over back and forth. But the innovative and creative things that people do, because quite frankly, you got a captive audience in terms of getting information to people, educating folks, getting access to people. So I've always said, whoever came up with that idea about somebody, having legislators, hey, you got your state rep, your whoever sitting right here on the bus, feel free to talk to them while you're riding. Kudos on that. It's so many ways that we can help people understand how the system works for them. We do have a question, but again, we were talking during the break, and Jesus, I want to make sure that we are stressing because that's primarily the reason you guys are here this morning. On Monday morning, things are going to look a little different for certain riders on certain routes.
Yes.
And so how do people know where to go to figure out if they're going to be impacted or affected?
Yeah, no. One of those things, and as you mentioned, is our buses are really smart, so we have audio on there. So we like to throw audio. Hey, bus, your changes are happening this Sunday.
Okay.
Our schedules usually change on Sunday, but majority of riders ride on weekdays, so they typically find out on weekdays if they're not in the loop already, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely I really want to stress to visit our website. We have the news schedules on there. We have a nice snippet page that lets you know which routes will have less frequency. How longer you'll have to wait. So if you're waiting today every 15 minutes, maybe tomorrow you'll have to wait every 20 minutes. But that means that, you have to really look at what your new trip pattern is, right? We have thousands of riders and all of our trips are different, right? So anything that you change in the schedule is going to impact you one way or another.
Right.
But we have a lot happening on January 11th. So we have those 6 routes that will operate from typically around 5 a.m. to 9 and then 3 p.m. to about 6 p.m. So that route 20, the route 33, the route 34, the route 28, the 55, and route 58. And we also have 16 routes across weekdays, Saturday, and Sundays, that'll have less frequent service. So if you're one of those riders, you'll just take a look at those schedules online.
So because I thought about this when you said the first time. So just for clarity, on those 6 routes where we'll see that reduction in service, so 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. possibly morning, 3 to 6 in the evening. So will there be no service at all outside of those time parameters?
Correct. Yep, correct. So there won't be
I
service.
want to make sure we're stressing that.
Yeah.
So on those 6 routes that you've identified, we getting you to work, we getting you home.
Yep.
But that in between and that later in the evening is problematic. People need to understand that there will be no service.
Yes.
Because I don't think it has been said that specifically or succinctly. We hear reduction in service.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, longer wait times, maybe between 6 and 9 a.m. or, not sure if it's regular wait times or whatever, but I want to say it as explicitly as possible on those 6 impacted routes.
Yes.
Outside of the time frame of 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Yep.
There will be no additional bus service on those
Correct.
outside of those time frames.
Yep. So if you're a Route 28 rider today and you ride at noon, there will not be a bus at that time. Starting on Monday, but I do also want to emphasize that when picked, obviously it was very data driven. The AM and PM peak are when most people ride. There are other alternatives for some of these routes, right? So
because that was the thing I was going to ask you. Do you all give people suggestions like, hey, if you typically rode this route, you might want to consider hopping on, this other route. Got a distance maybe to get there or figure out how to, but this can. Is there any kind of navigation system or help that people can get when they're trying to figure out, okay, this is no longer available at this time. What else can I use as an option? I haven't ridden a bus in like 100 years. So is there any system to be able to help people figure that out?
Absolutely. Our trip planner on our app and on our website as well. So when the new schedules come in, you can, and again, everyone's trip is different, right?
Right.
We have, on average day, we can have up to 80,000 riders. Yeah, on every weekday. 80,000 rides. Yeah, rides essentially. So,
Whoa.
yeah, across one day. So like everyone's trip
That's
is a little
crazy.
different,
Wow.
right? So being able
That's
to
crazy.
being able to use a trip planner for your trip, today, for instance, like a Route 34, a Giannis line, right?
Yeah.
Part of it, it has duplicative service. Red line also runs a Capital for a section. In some instances, riders may have to walk a little further, and we understand that not everyone can maybe walk as far as everyone else, but there are. I really want to emphasize to utilize these tools we have to find what your new trip pattern is. Call us, let us know. Hey, I want to come here. What are some other options? Typically we have multiple options, but as riders, we like to pick the one that we prefer that takes the least amount of time. Who doesn't, right? So yeah, I just really want to emphasize that starting January 11th, just really look at what is your trip today. What are some alternatives? Give us a call. Let us know. We're here to help you navigate through that process.
See now that specificity of identifying that service won't be available outside of those designated timeframes. Someone said, so if my son needs to leave school early for a doctor's appointment, he has to use Uber if he's using an affected route. So people are saying, like, look, my kid is old enough to leave from school, catch the bus, meet me at the doctor's. Because I actually had to think about, like, my son rode the bus briefly when he was in high school. It felt like he's been driving since he was 10. But anyway, but I would say, hey, just meet me, catch the bus, meet me up on Mayfair Road at his doctor's office. So potentially parents need to understand, that if your child is on one of these impacted routes, you got to be thinking ahead and making different plans.
Yeah.
You got to understand that.
Essentially, yeah. And again, part of this is, that first phase, that second phase that will start on March 8th, those, there are 5 routes that we'll be modifying. So portions of those will be trimmed. So I emphasize to our riders to, really go to our website, understand these upcoming changes so that you can pre-plan. And again, trends is important. We understand that. We don't want to make cuts, right? But for us, we have to look at, what we can afford and put our service in the best areas. And as we're looking at the 2027,
we all do.
Yeah, as
quite frankly,
looking at the 20,
in our households, we're making different choices. Yeah. How often we take a casual trip, planning those trips better so that we're not just, wasting gas and running around. So I think that's fair. Brian, somebody said, Michelle, don't forget to have Brian address fare evasion. So I wanted to make sure that I just saw that in my, like, okay, y'all, they lighting on my phone. That we got that, and we got a caller. And somebody also says that they're concerned with this reduced schedule. So if a driver on that route calls in sick, does that impact the line? And I don't know what the personnel situation is like for the county, but that literally was one of the questions. So what happens if you got drivers? Because they are, I guess, basically saying we're already short on drivers. I don't know what our staffing situation is like.
I mean, the way we program our system and all the scheduling is already has contingencies for sick time. I mean, there are operators that call in sick now. Yep. There are operators that have their emergency circumstances, or whatever. They're sent home potentially because of disciplinary reasons. So these things do happen, and so that wouldn't necessarily be any different as to how we are planning it, just because we have some reduced routes.
Okay, let's go to the phone line and get them in. Hey, caller, what's happening? Angela, your phone is breaking up bad. Go ahead and try to answer the question. We'll see if we can get you.
My question is,
yeah, it's not going to work, Angela. Do me a favor, because I know you have my cell phone number. If you can, shoot me a text message or try to call back, because that we weren't able to hear anything. So
can
Brian,
I chime in on something?
Yes.
I really appreciate you taking the time for us to communicate these changes that are taking place really late Sunday. We do have other individual tools and assets that we've created, like individual signage for specific community centers, senior centers that we've been in touch with to post about a line that might be affected in their location. So if any businesses or anyone, wants to reach out to me on my email, again, it's Brian Deneve. You can just probably Google me on MCTS. Just reach out to me directly. I can send you those links, because we'd love to have, more people helping amplify our message, spread the word, because we ultimately, for customers or people that go to these senior centers or community centers, they should really know.
So do we have, again, because that's why I think it was important to kind of not just utilize the numbers to describe the routes, but also kind of give people the street names that are affiliated. So do we have any senior centers or anything like that on any of the impacted routes that you are aware of?
Yes. So on Route 33 along Bleat, our Washington Park Senior Center.
Oh, that's a heavily used senior center too.
Yeah. So it's, we do have adjacent service nearby, Route 30, Route 31. However, we have been, in communications, with some electeds, and then some constituents have reached out to us about, just the impacts there.
Okay.
So again, this year, what we really want to do is we really wanted to emphasize getting people, in those peak periods. But that doesn't mean that we can't adjust throughout the year as we're learning a little bit more. And that's where I think it's really important for riders to continue that engagement with us throughout this year and beyond, because, that 14 million deficit out of the, that we have, that we were facing, we have $170 million budget. That's a big chunk. Like, regardless of how you splice it, it's going to have an impact on folks. We were really lucky to get that 5 million to help preserve those lines. But this is where we'll have to look at, let
me do this then on the phase 2, the 16 routes. Yep. So are we talking reduction in terms of the time that these buses typically roll through? Like you said, maybe 15 minutes now expands to 20, 25-minute wait, or will there be any periods during the day when of those next set of routes that there won't be service available on those routes as well?
So for phase 2, there'll be 5 modified routes, and those routes are Route 11 on Hampton Avenue. So today it goes to 124th Street. It would be trimmed back to 92nd Street, right where kind of ridership tails off.
Okay.
The next one is Route 22, which is on Center, pretty much from Mayfair Mall along North Avenue, 92nd Street, Center, all the way to UWM.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to end that one at Humboldt. And part of that is we have a Route 66 that comes more frequently. If folks want to go to UWM, it would just be a transfer at kind of where that Collectivo is. But again, that is where the ridership really just tails off.
Okay.
The other route, we have a Route 80, which is pretty much from the airport MATC on the southern end, goes all the way north to Good Hope and Teutonia. So right around, the Glendale Industrial Park, that's where ridership kind of tails off. So we would end it there. Route 88, which is on Brown Deer Road, goes all the way from like Teutonia all the way to the Woodmans on 124th Street. We're looking to scale that one back to about 107th and Brown Deer Road. Riders that wish to go to the Woodmans, Aldi's, kind of those grocery stores on the western end. There's a Route 73 where both those routes will meet. So we try to piece this together so that we're preserving as much of that service as possible while also meeting that our budget needs. So those will start on March 8th. On January 11th, or when the peak period, those 6 routes will start. And then the 16 routes will also start on January 11th. So there's 16 routes across a weekday, Saturday, and Sunday that'll come just a little bit less frequent. However, they'll still, operate along the entire route. So, think of like, the Green Line, Route 12, for instance. Route 12 will comes today every 15 minutes, but during weekdays now it'll come every 20 minutes. So there are a few, changes here and there depending on the route that make up that entire budget deficit. And we really try to, put as much service out there when people are riding the most. But we understand that, there's going to be some impacts for riders' trip patterns, and that's where we really want to emphasize to go on our website, go to call us, let us know, we're here to assist in any way that we can. But we understand, there's going to be an impact. Some riders may have to walk maybe a block to another route during the midday on some of those routes that there aren't service. right? If you're a Route 34 rider, for instance, and you live along Capitol, perhaps now you have to ride the red to connect you to the Route 80, where Route 34 and 80 kind of mirror the same service out the Locust to the intermodal station. Okay. So like trying to think of like new trip patterns. And then in some cases there may be not the best alternative. But that's where, this year we'll really take a look at where are those areas that we can make adjustments. Is 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. the correct time frame? Maybe it's 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., right? And some of these things we can adjust. We can control the schedule. So, I really emphasize to our riders to really be at the forefront with us as we look at what our system can look like beyond this year, because, that's super important. I want riders to come and engage with us from the outset. And, and typically we as riders, we think of my own trip, but, as the service development department, we have to look at it from a holistic view.
You gotta look across the board.
So,
I'll tell you, still hard to hear, but it mirrors real life. It mirrors what's going on in households every day right now, as people are talking about budgets and the affordability term, and all those things play into this. So I don't think that a ton of people are shocked. It's just about trying to figure out how to navigate.
Yes.
Let me get this last caller. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Michelle, can you hear me now?
It seems like we can. Go ahead, Angela.
Okay, so my question is, like the main buses, like the 30, the Bird Line, the Purple Line, and 35th. So, like, say y'all put 4 buses out on that route, and y'all losing money for people who not paying on these main routes. Will y'all break them buses down to 2 instead of 4, like putting 2 out there for the week instead of 4 out there for the week on any of those lines?
Thank you, Angela. We'll try and deal with that. So basically, I guess, at what point does the fare evasion become so either impactful, crippling, that it actually affects the number of buses that's on the road? I guess it seems like a part of the question, but maybe you heard something different in what she was asking, Brian or Jesus.
I could touch a little bit on the number of buses on these routes, because from our from our perspective, we look at the number of buses on a route depending on the demand, right? So a Route 30 has about 8,000 rides per day versus a Route 20 that has 200 rides per day, right? So does the level of demand really drives the number of buses? A Route 30 can have upwards of 17 buses on it during the AM and PM peak. Wow. Route 20 has 1 bus on it. Again, that's where I emphasize, don't just look at the line, what's the service on the line? And that's how we allocate our resources.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that, we're meeting the demand of the routes, and routes change.
Okay, but I'm gonna bring it back, that fare evasion piece.
Yep. To clarify, if we had 100% fare compliance, we still would have a budget deficit. That's just simply where it is. I mean, we have the cost of everything has gone up over time. We've been, as a system, rather than making probably the more intentional changes throughout the last several years, the MCTS has leaned very heavily on those COVID relief funds. Yep. Almost $200 million were burned through in COVID relief funds in 5 years. That's a significant number. So now we're at the point where we have to make, unfortunately, these very difficult decisions to modify the route. So I just want to give people some context that although there is a fare evasion issue and there are people that are not paying, and we're looking to address that in 2026, even if everybody was paying, we still would be short funds.
One of the things that someone also forwarded, they said, in addition to what we're seeing possibly with Washington Park Senior Center being on an impacted route, is they talked about group homes and community residential type facilities that are along some of these routes. Mm-hmm. I think they heard some of the routes that you guys were identifying, and we're saying that, there are quite a few people that stand to be impacted. And somebody else said a lot of these people are in these group homes and moving back and forth between doctor's appointments and whatnot. So there was a question, how much public input was a part of this process before we got here. Yep. And I know we've had a couple of different conversations, but if you could just put that out there for people that may have missed it. Did the public get an opportunity to weigh in at all, or was this simply data driven? How did you arrive at some of these decisions outside of data, if the public was engaged or not?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and Brian kind of touched on it a little bit. It's not as much as we like, and not especially as a planner myself, not at the level I want. Right? We started this process. Usually you start this process in the beginning of the year, right? And we had to crunch it into essentially the last half the year to the quarter essentially. So it was more data driven. Now, we do have the opportunity, this year and beyond to get that level of engagement that we want. But there were some town halls, there were input that went into this final plan. So we heard very loudly, very clearly, I need to get to work by 6 a.m. So originally in our plan, we just had 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. We made a small adjustment so that we can get folks to work by 6 a.m. We kept hearing, we need to get people to medical appointments. And obviously, if it's middle of the day, it's kind of difficult. But we really wanted to preserve that line, preserve the times that people get to work, and use the data that we have to drive those decisions. We have historical data that shows, that these times, this is when people ride. And again, I'll reemphasize the impact. There's going to be some type of impact, but we really were cognizant of making sure that impact was minimal as best possible. But we did hear our riders, and though the time wasn't, I would have loved way more time for more engagement. I think we did the best we could with the time we were given. But it doesn't stop there, right? This is we continue to look at our routes, and I really want to emphasize for our riders to continue that engagement with us as we get into 2027 and beyond.
And I want to jump in a couple of things for context when it comes to data. We did look at a specific, make sure that my numbers are right for the highway, for the Route 33 Senior Center that takes place. We looked at some of the stops. Yep. Wasn't it 5 the entire day? One of those stops, 5 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 use that stop. So that's, if you're one of those 5 people and you rely on that, or that's the one you're used to, it's going to impact you, but that's not many people. So we do, those are the types of numbers we had incorporate when it came to it. And as Jesus said, we love to do more, have had that luxury to do more of the engagement and, really dig into who's riding these routes, when it is. But I just also want to plug a couple of other programs that might be opportunities. We still have the paratransit program that somebody may qualify for. I would say just look that up as Paratransit or Transit Plus, on our website to see if you qualify. Those are the ones that you may have more enhanced service to come pick you up because you have a medical condition, for instance. And then the county also has, it's called the Older Adults Transportation Services, which is free transportation to senior centers and dining sites for eligible riders. And so there are certain qualifications you need to meet, including being over the age of 60 and not have access to other means. But, I can't, that's actually Department of Health and Human Services program. I can't speak to, who would get in or wouldn't get in, but I just want to encourage people to be open to these other ideas and possibilities.
Well, I will just say this. We are nearing the end of the show. I think that what has happened, and from the messages that I am seeing, there are a lot of people, and this is most likely a conversation outside of this discussion, but there are a lot of people that are now paying attention to this budget piece in terms of 2027, because the impact has become real. Monday, there will be service cuts. So people are sending me messages like, so then how are we going to backfill, or will we go after grants? Are we petitioning the federal government for money? Like, where does this money come from? So as you go back to your organization, to let folks know that the listeners, would love to be kept in the loop, updated, receive information about what the funding prospects look like and how severe could these cuts be if we can't figure out what those additional resources are going to be for 2027. So please share that with department and agency folks that you have sparked a fire today. I appreciate Anna for reaching out and making sure that we were able to get connected. This conversation started before, the first of the year. And I think I'm even a little surprised at the number of folks that have engaged on my Facebook Messenger, like, Michelle, what the hell? Yeah, so people are nervous. You tell people all the time, you'll miss your water till your well run dry. You take certain things for granted. It's always going to be there. Factoring in dollars, budgets, and how we operate as a city. You know, when we see these referendums and folks saying we need more money and trying to wave the red flag, we are in trouble. And we always talk about the mixed blessing that was COVID, because dollars came in at a time we should have been in trouble. We should have been having these conversations. We caught a little bit of a reprieve because of these COVID dollars, or opera funds, if I say it correctly. So I just want to say, gentlemen, thank you so much. You gave information, and you also instill fear, or the situation does. But hopefully that just reminds our listeners to be participatory, in terms of civic engagement and the county and government. Because people put these requests out, hey, come to the meeting, come to the town hall, and folks don't go. And then later you realize what kind of decisions got made when you didn't contribute and you weren't in the room. So thank you so much to both of you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Brian, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, you're good at what you do. I see you. All right, family, that is the show for today. If you have any questions about what you've heard, guys, where should they reach out, or who should they contact, or what should they do?
Yeah, I mean, they can contact us directly. Both of our emails are on the website, jocho@mcts.org.
Sure, and just ridemcts.com has a lot of the information, including everything we outlined today. We do have a customer service line, so folks can also just call that for direct, get somebody on the horn to talk directly.
All right. Well, that's it, folks. That's a wrap for today. This conversation, I think, was extremely helpful to some people. Changes are coming. Please pay attention. We got not one, but 2 waves or phases. We'll talk about them. We'll remind you. And if you have a business or on these impacted routes and would like to post this signage to make sure your customers, constituents, neighbors know what's going on, you can reach out and ask for those ancillary items, and they can get them to you to help better inform and educate the public. All right. That's a wrap for the show. Hey, you.
Let's get it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
And we're going to talk about that dress when we get off
here.
All right, family. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Peace.